Hello and welcome to Dan Explains. I'm Dan. As most of you are probably aware, Valentine's Day is actually the feast day of St. Valentine, although for most of us his feast day has been eliminated. But more on that later. The stories about the man don't all seem to refer to the same person. Also, some of the lists of the saints made shortly after the time don't mention him, so it's been proposed by various scholars he didn't actually exist, and his feast day was invented by the Catholic Church to squash a pagan celebration of fertility. Well, the real reason is there were several St. Valentines. So, which one is the real one? And if the holiday wasn't borrowed from the pagan one, which St. Valentine did what to get the Valentine's Day we have today? Let me explain. The story of St. Valentine, or Valentines, goes way back, to even before St. Nicholas, who I covered in another video, to the time of the 3rd century. So, during the time of the Roman persecution of the Christians. The name Valentine, or Valentinus, which is the non-anglicized Latin name for Valentine, was apparently a very popular name for Romans in the 3rd century. Although 3 different people are attributed to the St. Valentine's Day on February 14th, there are a total of 11 St. Valentines, although, admittedly, not all of them are from the 3rd century. 3 men named Valentine had their feast day fixed to the same day, February 14th, which has obviously led to some confusion. If they were different men, or the same man, or just 2 men, it's known that all 3 were priests. One was even the bishop of Interamna, which is Terni in modern-day Italy. Another was a priest in Rome, which, as you might imagine, was a risky job at the time. The last one not much is known about except that he was martyred in Africa. Actually, it should come as no surprise that all 3 of these men were martyrs. On a side note, the Eastern Orthodox Church actually does separate the first 2 of these saints' feast days on different days, neither of which are on February 14th, although, according to some sources, the first 2 guys may have been the same person. Most of the stories we have today are attributed to the second St. Valentine I mentioned, the Roman priest. This story goes like this. The Roman Emperor Claudius II thought that it would be best if his soldiers weren't distracted by having a wife, so he disallowed married men from being soldiers. Well, Christians really didn't like the idea of being conscripted to fight for a pagan emperor. To help them out, St. Valentine would perform secret weddings for these soldiers to get them out of having to go to war. Some accounts said that Valentine would cut hearts out of parchment for the new husbands to remind them of their vows, supposedly giving rise to the practice of cutting hearts for Valentine's Day. Anyway, Claudius didn't like this. No, not the hearts. Him marrying off all of his eligible soldiers, and eventually he caught up with St. Valentine and had him put in jail. Well, house arrest actually, in the house of one of the Roman judges, Astrius. Valentine, of course, tried to convert Astrius, but Astrius wasn't having any of it. However, Astrius had adopted a blind girl. He told Valentine, if he could cure her blindness, that he would do whatever Valentine wanted. You can probably see where this is going. Valentine healed the girl, which convinced Astrius that Valentine was right about Christianity. Astrius destroyed all the pagan idols in his house, and he and his family all got baptized. After that, Astrius released not only Valentine, but all the Christian prisoners. As you might imagine, Claudius wasn't too happy about this. Eventually he was able to catch up to and arrest St. Valentine again, and had Valentine brought to him for interrogation. Valentine was a pretty nice guy, as you might imagine, and Claudius actually started to take a liking to him, until Valentine decided to try to do what he had done with Astrius, and convert Claudius to Christianity. Well, at that time, Roman emperors tended to see themselves as gods, so yeah, it teed him off a little. He demanded that Valentine convert to paganism or die. I bet you can see where this is going too. Valentine refused. Claudius had Valentine beaten with clubs and then stoned, but it didn't kill him. So instead he had him beheaded. St. Valentine's martyrdom happened on the 14th of February in the year 269. The man that gave us Valentine's Day died in the year 269. Elon Musk would be proud, for the irony at the very least. There is a story, it's probably a later edition, that says that St. Valentine wrote a note to Asturias' daughter just before his death and signed it, "Your Valentine," giving rise to the practice of writing valentines, which I guess would make some sense if he lived in Asturias' household for a while, although people really didn't start to celebrate Valentine's Day in any way we're familiar with until the 1700s. Anyway, Valentine's head and body would eventually end up in different places. His body ended up in a church in Madrid, and his head stayed in Rome, and has been on display at the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedin, as you can see here. There are some other pieces of him which ended up in many other places. And if you're wondering, the first St. Valentine I mentioned was martyred in the year 273 AD, and his whole body is interred in the Basilica of St. Valentine in Terni. So, if these two guys were the same person, they're clearly not now. Anyway, going back to the St. Valentine of Rome, his feast day was instituted by Pope Gelasius I in the year 496. Hey, wait. 96. I see what you did there, God. Very clever. The feast day is kept by most Western Christian groups today, except one. Interestingly enough, the Catholic Church stripped him of his feast day in 1969. Ooh. Whoever said God doesn't have a sense of humor. Wait, 1969? Wasn't that the summer of love?
Fatality.
St. Valentine's Day wasn't traditionally seen as a day for lovebirds. Until, well, lovebirds. People in the Middle Ages believed that birds paired up in mid-February. Also, the actual connection with St. Valentine, that is, specifically the St. Valentine of Rome, was that he would secretly marry off conscription-age men. So it's no surprise that St. Valentine's Day eventually got associated with new couples. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please press the like button. Subscribe to my channel and ring the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon, link in the description. The more people support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.